And we're live.
Welcome, everyone. This is Wendy Rose Williams, and I'm so happy to welcome you to the Waking Up Spiritually podcast with myself and Gregg Kirk as your co hosts. We are here twice a month on the second and fourth Sunday of the month at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And thrilled when you can join us live via the Waking Up Spiritually Facebook group, or you can check out the archives. We do record and archive all the programs at the wakingupspiritually.com website. And you can also now get us via the podcast app. So Apple, iTunes, and others we'll talk about more later. I am a past life adventure guide and love working with people from around the world on curiosity you might have or stuck creativity, and just wanting to open to those gifts where you're really drawn to doing something, trying something, traveling somewhere that's just so calling your name and may turn out to be a past life. I also help people who have pain, anxiety, and depression, and my website is wendyrosewilliams.com. And I'll turn it over to Gregg to introduce himself as well as today's topic. And again, thank you for joining us and being here.
Hi, I'm Gregg Kirk. You can find me at greggkirk.com. That's spelled GREGGKIRK.com. I am an energy healer, light worker. Started off as a Reiki practitioner and eventually developed some modalities using tuning forks for in-person sessions and remote sessions I do over the phone, where we delve into things that might be blocking you through other lives, potentially through past lives, but also through other dimensions. And I'm working on a lot of things with people lately where we're it's involving this topic, the reasons to be concerned about your spiritual protection. So a lot of times I will pull entities and chordal attachments off of people because they had not been protected, or sometimes it does come from transfers over from a past life, but a lot of times it has something that's happened in this lifetime that has caused an attachment to happen. But
Mhm.
Wendy and I agreed that today was a very important topic, spiritual protection. And we're going to go into everything from why you need to protect to how to protect and the effects of it. So let me get things rolling here on the sharing. Okay, here we go, share screen. And there, whoops. There we go, Wendy. You want to lead us
Right.
off?
So here's today's topic, as Gregg said, of spiritual protection. And I just love this image. This just looked perfect. You know, don't we all want to be able to just feel as happy and comfortable as you were as a child and just out there enjoying nature and enjoying the sun? And I just want to say we all have a right to feel like that. And we absolutely, with some techniques, can be in that place. So that's why I chose this image. So, what if your best protection is actually being sovereign? And we've spoken about sovereignty before, but for people who have not heard that podcast, my definition of sovereignty is being in your own energy, being unique in your own wonderful energy, and not carrying anyone else's energy, not having anyone else's energy aboard. And honestly, that can take some work, because, as Gregg said, we can have attachments, we can have cords, we can be a little bit too much all one. It just sounds like such a contra indication or contradiction of how can we be sovereign and how can we also be one. But you really can be your own higher self. You don't have to wait to drop your body and pass on back to the light to be your best self, to be your higher self, and to be sovereign in your own energy. So I just like to introduce that concept and just pose that question and comment to people and see how that resonates, because we may have some live comments on that. Some of the ways that you can align with your own higher self, you can think of your higher self as your soul. as your eternal soul, as that wonderful distilled wisdom that you carry across all lifetimes. And some of the ways that you can do that, we talked about that in a recent podcast. And you can just simply invite your higher self to really be in your body. You can invite your higher self in through your crown, to come on down. You can. I described a process where I sit up in the morning, just sit on the side of the bed for a moment, and just start to pre-pave your day. You may not even be feeling awake. You may not know what's on your schedule, but you can say, "Come on in, higher self and guides, please be here with me. Please let me be my best self today. Let me be my higher self." And I used to feel my higher self come in through my crown, so in through the top of my head. But then as things change, because things always do change, so you've got to just embrace that. Nothing's constant but change. Now I more feel my higher self coming in through kind of my upper back. If you can kind of picture, let's just have fun with it. Let's say we've got some angel wings or butterfly wings. That's where I kind of feel my higher self come in now, every morning. Or you might feel it coming through your heart. So it's whatever's right for you. But just doing that, getting sovereign. And as I said, just calling in your guides. If you relate to guides, because some people do not relate to guides and they feel like needing a guide or the creator or God, the goddess, anyone else, they feel disempowered. They feel like they're giving away their power. So it's whatever is right for you. I just want to say that with a lot of respect, because that is unique to the individual. Trust your intuition, your own truth, and follow your own heart and guidance with that. And also know, again, it may change over time. So the next concept is, how do you raise your vibration and frequency? And I really see that as being our state of consciousness, our level of consciousness. And two of my favorite books on this topic are Penny Pierce's Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration, where in a sentence, that wonderful book boils down to your thoughts create your reality. So the more you can be at that higher vibration where you want to be, the energies of peace, of love, of joy, those types of high frequency, high vibrational energies, the more you'll be there. Do we stumble? Of course we do. We get angry, we get dispirited, we can feel jealous, we can feel exhausted, just question what it's all about. But it's just being able to acknowledge that, feel that emotion, and then move it out of your body, move it out of your aura, your energy system, send it up to the light, sound it down to Mother Earth, to transmute it, however you want to do that. And we just kind of recenter and rebalance, as we've discussed on several of our podcasts, practices for doing that. I also love Sabrina Reber's How to Raise Your Vibration. So that's a great, and it's written kind of like a workbook in a lot of ways. And she's got beautiful full color illustrations in it that she did herself after coming out of a significant dark night of the soul and depression, significant depression that lasts for several years. And then she just learned how to raise her vibration and clear her energy from that. So any comments on that, Gregg? Or any comments from anyone that might be live with us, or we can check later too?
Yeah, let's check later. We actually have a slide for Q&A, so
Perfect.
I'll wait
Perfect.
until we get to that. But yeah, no, I'm with you on all this. Sovereignty is a big issue, a big deal. And raising your vibration is always a good antidote to anything where you're feeling low energy. Raising it up and shaking off anything that might be dragging you down is a good thing to do.
Exactly. And sovereignty, in the beginning, when I first heard this concept and started daily clearing my energy, I couldn't feel the difference. I couldn't tell if I had other energy aboard. So just be kind to yourself and just trust that as you keep doing it, it's like learning anything else. You did not ride a bicycle perfectly the first time as a little kid. You absolutely fell off, scraped your knee, drove it into the hedges, whatever happened, happened. It's just part of the process. But you will start to know it. And same thing, I couldn't feel any of my chakras in the beginning, those 7 major energy centers in the body, until I worked with a spiritual teacher and she kind of amplified it for me and showed me and taught me the differences. And then over time, I trained as a Reiki master myself, and it became just like breathing, that you could tell the difference. But just be kind with yourself is my message.
On to the next slide. Let's talk about the reasons for spiritual protection, and keeping in mind, not to view any of this with fear or apprehension. This is just to more or less to help you diagnose yourself, to see if you might have anything going on, and just to be aware, really, more than anything else. So be aware. What are some of the things that can happen? Chordal attachments. These are actual energetic cords that other beings attach to your energy body and use it to, in like a parasitic situation where they attach to your energy and feed off of it. Now, and I've seen everything from family members who have passed on to people who are still living energetically attached to a loved one, to negative entities, of course, and even going into dark demonic ones. So the different levels of energy sucking that's going on is different. Obviously the darker ones can be more dramatic, and when they are removed, you feel a huge shift. Whereas I've seen boyfriends and girlfriends, husbands and wives, mothers and daughters, that kind of thing, attached to each other, and they were not aware of it. And it's funny because I had one situation where a girlfriend, after getting removed, she came in after I did an in-person session with her boyfriend, and I said I told her that I'd removed her, and she got indignant and thought, well, isn't there ever a situation where there is a positive attachment? And I just kind of like let it go up to the guides, and the guides emphatically said, no, going back to Wendy's statement earlier, your sovereignty is the most important thing. You need to be this dichotomy of being your own individual, to have your own sovereign energy, while still being one with all of creation. And you do that by containing your energy and not letting anything else into it, but being, entangled quantumly with, philosophically, however you want to look at it, with the rest of creation. So anyway, chordal attachments, entity attachments. These can be kind of freaky beings that are either extraterrestrial or multidimensional or demonic. What I call loose feeding beings. So these are beings that do attach to you like parasites and basically grab onto your energy and do things. And they can be manipulative. They can kind of guide your actions sometimes if you don't want. And so that's why you've got to be concerned about if you've ever handed over your sovereignty unwittingly. And I do a lot of this work in the one-on-one sessions where we look for any kind of contracts or agreements that might have happened either in this lifetime or in a past lifetime, where you inadvertently, or sometimes I've worked with patients who have willingly handed over their sovereignty to join a group of people who were supposedly doing spiritual experimentation, or they were working on magic, and they handed over their sovereignty to these people in good faith, only to have it taken. And that's something that needs to be unwound and addressed. So that's
a cult would be an example.
Exactly. Cults, same. Yes. So once you start to wake up spiritually, one of the first things you really need to be aware of and to be rigid about is creating a perimeter with your own energy sovereignty. So sometimes things happen to you, even if you haven't handed over your sovereignty, and things like spells and curses can happen to you again throughout lifetimes. You may have heard the term ancestral curses. I mean, there's sometimes your entire family lineage has had some sort of spell or curse put on it. And these are things that need to be removed as well. And they mess with your energy, they mess with your actions. So all of these things need to be looked at. Energy fragmentation. So this is what do I mean by that? This is when your fragments of your energy or your consciousness or even of your soul can be broken off from you. And I've had the honor and the surprise to work with a patient recently over the past few years who has had this person's male and female energy split in two, so that this person actually exists in some of the lifetimes as male and female with this the same consciousness. It's something I've never come across before, and it's extremely fascinating. And sometimes, you know, in the case where sometimes they're together, sometimes they're married. It's a wild situation. But anyway,
same soul, you're saying?
yes, the same soul presenting in the same lifetime as a male and a female. Sometimes they are married, sometimes they're not, sometimes they don't even know each other. It's fascinating. And we've pulled up many lifetimes of this, but this was because of a trauma that happened. Actually, I mean, it gets weirder. It happened on another planet. So the trauma happened in a non-terrestrial life, and it shattered the gender understanding and representation, so that all the lives, many of the lives on Earth happened. They would come together. They would be expressed as separate, male and female at the same lifetime. I've never even heard of this, but this
nothing to do with a twin flame. That's a whole separate,
completely different. Yeah,
possibility. Okay.
Yeah. Because well, I don't want to get into personal details, but yeah. So this is what we're the situation now is the person is all, both genders are embedded. But there's a lot of work to do about this fragmentation going on. Now, typically it doesn't happen this way. Typically there can be like a chunk of your consciousness that gets pulled away, and it can be used to manipulate you. So there's something called quantum entanglement. So when you break off a piece of, an existing person or even a piece of matter, and it gets pulled away, it's still connected. Even if you bring it light years beyond to another place, it's still quantumly entangled, is what they call it. And what I see is sometimes beings who know how to break this off and do this, they can use this energy, this chunk, to kind of like manipulate a person. So I'm working with another person who has had several fragmentations done, just like in these chunks, and they're being used he's being manipulated. I mean, he's, what we would call possession sometimes. He's done things outside of his own volition, outside of his own, intentions and actions. So we are doing everything. We do what's is called a soul retrieval.
I was just going to ask you if a soul retrieval was possible, if that's where that goes.
Yeah. But we're having to do it multiple times. It's a bit frustrating because we're doing this like twice a week. It's really intense stuff. But the point being is we're bringing back these pieces of energy, and in some cases, the beings are so tricky that we impose upon them the universal law of free will and sovereignty, and say you have to abide by this law or otherwise suffer the wheel of action, the wheel of karma. And they'll release it, and then I'll notice on one side of the chunk there's their energy. They've added their energy, their dark energy to it. So as this energy gets rejoined with the main energy body of this person, there's this still negative or whatever
So you've got a
controlling energy.
freeloader. They rode back in again.
Yeah. So we get
Oh my
that
goodness.
removed, and it's just it's a mess. So anyway, that we know. Hopefully, I just want to kind of lay
Unusual.
these are unusual things. I just want you to know that it's not anything for you to generally worry about. But the next one, etheric implants and artificial intelligence, I do see these things in people's fields quite a bit. And what do I mean by this? And this sounds, might push your belief system a little bit, but extraterrestrials figure into a lot of this energy harvesting is what I call it. So they don't have to use chordal attachments. They use devices, and so they're not. Well, I was going to say they're not, abducting you and putting these devices in you. Well, they can do that too, but what they're doing on an etheric level is adding devices to your energy field or your energy body. And to me, they look like wires and pieces of metal or whatever. And sometimes typically they're used for tracking and energy harvesting, so they can send energy back to, the perpetrator. But I've also seen you do some manipulation, and this unfortunate person I was talking about earlier, who's got these multiple fragments going on as well. He's got multiple implants, and I just saw one the other day I did not know existed. So this thing looked like a spotlight. And mind you, we've done multiple sessions and just pulled a junkyard full of stuff out of, this person's energy, and pulled, a menagerie of beings off, and, the whole deal. But this was a new one, and his field was looking pretty clear this one day in particular. But I felt this energy coming from a remote place, and, scanned around, looked, and found this thing. It looked kind of like a spotlight, a small one, like a Fresnel, like a small light. And it was shooting energy at him from a remote place. And it was manipulative energy. I could feel it. So this is another thing. So I called it a broadcaster. So there's broadcast artificial intelligence as well. So I'm learning new things about this year in particular. I've seen some of the more far out stuff more than ever. So anyway, these things, the good news is these things can be removed. But these are the methods and the means that these negative, well, I shouldn't even say negative, because I used to say that all the time in my
External beings, things that are not part of our energy.
Yeah, they're not always polarized negative. Sometimes they're kind of a foot in both worlds, and they may have started off and tricked you, in some life, saying, hey, I'm going to help you, and then actually did, and then locked you into some sort of energetic servitude. One other way that these beings can travel in and out, I've noticed, of your energy field and body without your permission is sometimes they'll create what I call an etheric wound. And these wounds can be from real traumas that happen in past lives. So if you suffered a sword wound in the back, and then now today you've got back problems. I see this quite a bit, and that needs to be healed. But sometimes that can be, and it's a weak spot in your energy field, and it's a way for a being to come in and just kind of go in and out. It's a hole. Now, some of the more intelligent and magical beings can create dimensional doorways and etheric portals in your field as well. And these are doorways that are just open. So it's like, you can do all the clearing you want and think, all right, we're good. And then, but you've got this hole that's always open, and not just the being that created it can go in and out, other beings can do as well. And so those things need to be located and closed with a bit of extra effort. So that's the whole list of crazy things that can can happen. Now, how, what, some of these are common and some of these are just, like I said, I've never seen them before until this year. Probably the most unique, or I'm sorry, probably the most common are just your own self-defeating thoughts. You can mess yourself up as well, right? And I see this sometimes. I see this as like a crown of thorns around somebody's head. That's how it appears. Or a bunch of twine and sticks and stuff just kind of like scattered in somebody's etheric field around their head. And I see that as self-defeating thoughts, or
Sure.
sometimes it's energy leaks as well. So you can leak energy out of certain chakra areas if you're, for instance, around your solar plexus, if your ego is, you're feeling inferior and you're giving your
Not
energy away.
enough.
That kind of either the not enough feeling or the desiring all the time or regretting, all that creates these little energy leaks. So they need to be addressed as well. So what are the symptoms of this? The most dramatic is when you can feel that your actions or thoughts are not your own. Now, hopefully not too many people watching this are having that. That's a, that can be a scary experience. You can feel out of control. But I do have a few people who felt that. The good news is,
I am one of them, and it absolutely can be addressed.
yes, exactly. Well, that's the point. It's good to recognize it,
Yes.
and then so you can do something about it. So if you ever do feel that, please contact Wendy or me, and we can help you with this. So there is a distinct feeling of manipulation or something going on outside yourself. You would know it. It's not something you need to think about. It's like, if you're going around your daily business and you feel there's an energy around you that just doesn't feel right, or you feel yourself saying or doing certain things that you wouldn't ordinarily do, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. And again, it's not. So here's something that will help you not be fearful about it. Being fearful about it makes it worse. This is the energy that these beings feed off of. So think
Yes.
about that. You don't want to feed off of them. And for some of you who are more advanced in your own energy training, or you're kind of flexing your spiritual muscles, one of the things that you can do if this ever does happen to you is you give these beings the opposite of what they want. You give them love. So if you feel there's a being around you that's bothering you, just kind of feel around, close your eyes, maybe see if you can locate it, cultivate some love inside your heart, a big beam of love, and just send it to that being and watch what happens. Usually they'll just go away because that's not what they want. Again, repetitive thoughts and actions with no real, internal drive. That's the kind of thing that you're looking for. The other thing is just a constant feeling of low emotions that are not stemming from circumstances. Now, this doesn't always mean that this is a symptom that you've had your sovereignty kind of compromised, but it can. So if you are waking up first thing in the morning and you haven't had a bad dream or anything like that, and you're just full of anxiety, or you're full of depression, or you're regretting something that you weren't thinking about before, but now all of a sudden you are, these constant feelings of it's called loosh, Loosh. It's lower chakra energies that these beings love to feed off of. That, if you feel that and you're feeling it kind of chronically, then that's you need to. It's a good idea to get something done about it. And then the final thing, this happened to me. This couldn't be any more direct than this. I had dreams where I was being attacked by, in my situation, it was ghosts. So I was always in these situations where no matter what my dream was, suddenly I'm in this haunted house situation. Why am I always ending up in a haunted house? And then I'm walking through, I'm not afraid, but I know that I come to the end of a hallway and I know there's something behind that door. If I open that door, there's something fearful behind it. And I would do it. I would open the door and this thing would come out. And I wouldn't always be afraid of it. Sometimes in my dream, I would push positive energy at it and it would go away. But, there was a couple of times where it didn't go away and it scared me. And so if you ever have a dream like that, that's pretty classic. I've talked to other people who have had those types of dreams. So be mindful of that. You may have something lingering around you that is looking to bother you and mess.
Because it's trying to enter at the subconscious level when you're sleeping. And that's a
Yes,
great reason to just ground and clear your energy and protect it before you go to sleep. I mean,
exactly.
there's a reason why many religions teach to just say a prayer before you go to sleep. I mean, I think it's a great practice.
Yes, let's talk about that in a minute, because you're absolutely right. That's something that I recommend myself before going to bed. One other thing is just to be mindful of in dreams, because there's a lot more going on in dreams spiritually than we've been taught. There's a lot of real things happening, real interactions with spirits. So, for instance, if somebody who's passed on, I've heard so many times people have interacted with relatives who have passed on in such a real way, and to the point where, let's face it, you really are interacting with them. So goes interactions with strange beings that you've never met. So one of the things that I would just never do in a dream is accept anything from a being that you ingest, or that you put in your body, or you let them touch you, or in other words, keep your sovereignty all the way through your dream as best you can. So set your perimeter, and that when you're in your dreams, don't let anybody near you. Don't accept, it's like trick or treating. Don't accept any apples with razor blades or whatever. You just go about your dream, and don't mess around with any of the beings that you're meeting as well as you can.
Absolutely. And if you do mistakenly do that, you're likely to wake up feeling, fear or regret, etc. That's fine. Just ground and clear your energy right then and there, and just ask to have that be resolved. And you will learn how to lucid dream, where you can take control of your dream within the dream. So, I mean, I think that's kind of like the first stage of it, is you wake up and go, uh-oh. So it's okay. You can fix it right there, and then you'll learn how to fix it earlier in time. And Greg, we have someone in the waiting room. Are we able to admit at this point, or will
I
that
can't. Yeah, I
not
can't
work
do it.
well?
Yeah, it'll mess up the flow.
Okay, I understand. So
Yeah.
apologies to whomever, and they'll be able to catch the full recording later. So. Okay. Well, Greg, that was really insightful. That was just such great information, as well as a compelling slide. It was amazing. I could see the sun like beaming and getting bigger. It was almost like it was pulsing, and then it would like go back a little bit. It was just compelling. Was that one of your own photographs?
No, no, I found that
Okay. Okay.
online, but
Yeah, that was fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about some ways to ground and clear your energy, because that's how you're sovereign. That's how you attain and maintain that wonderful sovereignty where you just get to be you. And some of the best ways to ground your energy, and it's just tuning in and feeling like you're in a body, you're here on the planet, is, guess what? Be outside. It's just that simple. Be out in nature, get barefoot on the ground, um, be near a tree, literally touch the tree, or sit with your back against it, or lean with your back against it, or hug it. Because just picture those amazing roots going down from the tree, not only going down deep, but you can just see tree roots going down from the bottom of your own feet the same way down to that magnetic core of Mother Earth, is how I like to visualize it. And that's where the fountain of youth energy is. So just bring that energy back on up for yourself, and you'll be much more grounded. You can also see your tree roots, your joy tap roots from the bottom of your feet, the soles of your feet going out wide. And there's now studies showing that trees communicate with each other. It's amazing. And they're able to send nutrients to each other and to help each other if one tree's like in a poor soil area, or construction's happening like a little too near it, or whatever might be going on. But that just makes a difference too. If you are a person who knows you have spent significant time on other planets, it may not be sufficient for you to ground to Mother Earth only. I am one of those people, and I did not realize that. And I kept trying for years and years to do all these different grounding techniques. And finally, someone said to me, do you know, I think what might be going on is because you've spent so much time on other planets, pick a couple other favorite planets that you can remember and also ground there. And the minute they said that, I'm like, that's it, that's it, that's it. Because that's why every time I tried to ground, no matter how far down I went or how far out I reached, I would feel my energy just scatter outside the planet. And I'm like, what's that about? Why am I doing that? Why is that happening? Why am I doing that wrong? Well, you're not doing it wrong. Just get into some inquiry of, okay, evidently I need something a little different here. So, um, so that's just some of the ways. Go for that walk by the water, go for that walk in the woods. And I'm not talking about you got to have a half a day or put a full day aside. I'm talking about 15 minutes can make a tremendous difference. Go explore your own neighborhood. It's spring now in the northern hemisphere. Just go enjoy checking out all the, beautiful little buds and birds and squirrels, and just go be outdoors more is a powerful way to ground. Clearing your energy, lots of ways to do that. Can use prayer. I frequently use something called the Thank You Angels prayer to clear my energy. And you can also do things like picture, imagine, visualize a beautiful waterfall just coming in above your head. And just step through that waterfall a couple times. Be practical. Do this when you're in your shower, you're taking your bath. Just ask that your energy be really cleared. Ask to clear any energy that's not yours, any energy that's in combination with someone else's, any energy that no longer serves you. And just, add whatever your verbiage is to that and just see it going down the drain. It is just that simple. And raising your vibration and frequency just comes naturally as you're grounding and clearing your energy. And have some fun with that too. You can just picture yourself and say, okay, I'm feeling kind of tired. I'm feeling kind of ticked off, whatever it might be. Let me ground and clear that and raise my vibration and frequency. Well, picture the most beautiful elevator or escalator you've ever seen. Just put yourself on it and just, feel yourself going up, and just imagine and create those higher vibration energies that you want to experience, whether it's peace or camaraderie, um, joy, love, just deep satisfaction, happy relationships, whatever it is for you, to see yourself there and just see yourself steadying out there. So a lot of it, as you can hear, is just visualization, and just putting some intent around that. And there's some wonderful ways to clear, bless, and balance your home and property. And this was a game changer for me because I had not realized to do that. Today's the full moon. So once a month, you've got that perfect opportunity to release energy in a really powerful way. Send it up to the light, anything that's not serving you. Send it up to source love for healing, or send it down your grounding cord, and you'll get more grounded at the same time. And Mother Earth will transmute it into something more useful for all of us on the planet, as well as for herself. Some of the ways that you can clear your home and property is just take 10 minutes. So let's say you're going to do it on the full moon day. Let's say you're going to do it today. What I like to do is just close all the doors and windows, and then I start in the most what's the right word in English? Like the innermost place. I start in my walk-in closet because it's like deep in my bathroom in my master suite. So I start in there. And you can burn sage is one way to do it, and just go around and just get into all those corners and just ask to clear out that stagnant energy and attract in and bring in energy that's going to serve you and your family, your pets, whoever lives in the house more. So you can do that and work your way around. You can also do bell ringing. You can have a singing bowl, a drum. You can hum, you can chant. You can just be saying prayers out loud. I use a rattle. That's my favorite right now, is I just use that rattle in all the corners, and I say the Thank You Angels prayer, clearing prayer as I'm going. So I start in my walk-in closet. I go in my master bathroom. I go into my master bedroom. Again, all the doors and windows are closed, and I'm gathering all that stagnant, stale energy that's been there for at least 2 weeks, let's say, or whatever time period. And then I go to the closest door. I go out through my great room and I open that door. I clear that great room and send all that energy out. I leave that door open, and now I start going to the other portions of the house, again, working my way to the innermost places like the closet underneath the hall, or the stairs, the front stairs. I'll go there and then clear around the other rooms around it and go out the front door, and then do the same thing, other portions of the house, and go out the garage door. And I'm leaving each of those doors open. And then I go upstairs and clear all of upstairs, each of the rooms, each of the closets, just clearing and blessing it. And I take all that energy out the front door, because that's the closest door for the upstairs. I also ask the angels to clear up through the attic and up through the light, up to source love for healing. And I ask them to clear out through the crawl space, too. You might have a basement crawl space. So the point is, you're just blessing and clearing everywhere and taking it to the closest door and letting it go outside. And then you can choose to open all your doors and windows for a bit, attract in that new wonderful energy that'll serve you more, and then close them all up. Now, here's the fun part. Next time you leave your house, whenever it is, just pay attention when you come back in. Might be a few hours later that day, might be the next day. We're not traveling and moving around as much as we were since the pandemic. But how does the energy feel when you come in the house the next time? Or you might be doing this for your office or wherever you're choosing to clear and bless, for all the people and animals that live there is my practice. Um, does it feel lighter? Does it feel like more free flowing? Do you just feel happier when you come into that space? And I really think once you do this a couple times, you'll really be able to notice the difference. I tend to do this on the new moon, which is 2 weeks apart, obviously, from the full moon. And that's that perfect time when you can really attract the new, the best of the new energies. So that can just be an easy way. Okay, full moon, new moon, but you can choose a different schedule. You might choose the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. You might choose to do it whenever your instinct tells you, it's just feeling a little stagnant here, or there was an upsetting argument, or something kind of disrupted this lovely flow that I normally feel in my home. And as I'm doing this energy type clearing and blessing my home, I'm also asking to align my property, because obviously your home, your apartment, your condo, wherever you're living, it's sitting on some physical land. And maybe you choose to make it a little bit bigger over time. You have fun, it gets faster and easier, and you choose to bless, and clear, because it's with people's higher self permission. So you choose to do your street, you choose to do your neighborhood, your state, whatever. You can make it bigger. So those are some of my thoughts on that. You might also choose, you might be drawn to plant some crystals outside in your yard, or to place them, certain places to like attract energy, or to put little fountains, those little inexpensive, or you can use pet bowls too, with the running water, and put them by your front door, your back door, with some intent that you're attracting in that good energy. You're just clearing out what you don't need, however you want to do that. Or, as I said, plant certain crystals out in the yard. Just follow your guidance, have fun with it, and just know that you're doing the right thing. There's no one way to do it. Certainly you can look for articles, you can follow some of these suggestions, and Gregg may have some too. And my personal take on portals, because I did have some portals in my home that I discovered, some openings, some doorways. And frankly, I just was not comfortable with it. It didn't feel like that portal belonged in my home. And you may have a different opinion and practice, and I completely respect that. But I chose to have those portals be outside my home. I do have like a violet flame portal on my property that transmutes energy. And I'm comfortable with that. That works for me. So I do have that in a certain place on my property. But I also had a portal that again was for a very good purpose. I've got this huge china closet that was mine in a past life back in the 1800s. I have it again, and it's used for people um, to get to freedom. It's an underground railroad portal, but it was just not feeling right in my home, even though the cabinet's physically in my home. So I asked to have that portal be moved outside my home into my yard, and I'm very comfortable with it there. And I just, you just have to know what you're doing. I would not suggest willy-nilly reading about, oh, there's this thing called portals, and just going around and opening a bunch of portals. I personally do not see as a good practice, because, as Gregg said, you don't know what's stepping through that portal. This is not to engender fear, but I think it takes a bit more sophistication than that to work with portals. And I personally like mine to be for a specific reason and in a certain place. And other people are more free and easy with it, and that's fine too. Follow your own guidance. You know what you need to be doing for yourself. So, Gregg, anything to comment or add to that? Is that making sense? Do you have any best practices you enjoy if you purposefully balance or clear your home and property, or is that not one of your
Yeah,
practices?
no, that's one of my practices. Definitely. I agree with
I
your
thought so.
clearing. Yeah. Just one thing to add is, this was unbeknownst to me, I wrote about it in my book, that sometimes old mirrors, especially antique mirrors, can contain energies of spirits who have passed on. And that
Yes.
happened. And the only way I found out about it was I was having a reading, a psychic reading done, and the guy figured it out. He said, "Hey, do you have an old mirror in your house?" I said, "Yes, I do." And he told me that there was at least one spirit in it. And there's some cultures that are aware of this. And
Hmm.
a friend of mine who's Greek said, "Yeah, this is why when somebody's in a room who's about to pass,
They
they'll put
cover the mirror.
they'll cover the mirror with a veil, or they'll turn the mirror towards the wall so it won't,
Yeah.
because something happens, it kind of traps the energy of the spirit ready to leave. So that we had to go through a whole ceremony to get that
Mm.
removed, because from what the guy was saying, this kind of creeped me out. He said, "Yeah, the spirit of this angry old man has been walking around your house at 5 in the morning." I thought, okay, that's that's not acceptable. So
No, and that's part of it is declaring your sovereignty. You have every right to always feel safe in your home and happy in your home, whatever your home is. Even if your home is a single room, or you're staying in a hotel, or you're staying in someone else's house, that is your sacred space. And you have every right to make that work for you.
definitely. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is
Okay. So I would just like to share. You may relate to the concept of a spiritual team, and these may be guides, guardian angels, wonderful beings of light. They may be your own past life because you've got the distilled wisdom from that higher self. But this is the spiritual team that I work with, and I only included it as an example because it's different for everyone. And you can see this is a little bit eclectic, and just have fun with it. Just work with who you feel drawn to, because your instinct is right on. So I love working with Mary Magdalene, who I see as an ascended master and as an apostle. So she is someone that I work with regularly. I loved this photo because of just that peace, that dove being that symbol of peace. And I like to imagine this photo is her reading a book of love that was very uplifting for her, and just feeling the peace coming out of that. I work with Archangel Michael. I think many light keepers do. um, Many light workers, love workers do work with Michael, and just so appreciate his strength, his wisdom. He specializes in cutting cords. So when I'm in session with clients, I will ask them, oh, there's cords to be cut. I'll ask them, do you want to do it yourself? Would you like me to do it for you? Shall we call an Archangel Michael? You know, how would you like to do this? Because people, I think, really feel more empowered, and that, you know, that just getting to make that choice versus having everything done for you in a session, because there's a time and a place for both. But because I do the 2.5 hour or 4 hour long sessions, a lot of times it's teaching of, you know, how you can do these things with my certified spiritual teacher hat on. I relate very much to Queen Guinevere, who was in Camelot in Glastonbury, England, about 1500 years ago. And I really see her as the peacekeeper, that she was just working toward there being peace throughout all the lands, which was ironic in a time that was very much you know, still warlike and based on King Arthur being away in battle, and that type of thing. It was still the Dark Ages. So again, back to Guinevere and Magdalene, I feel some similarities between their energy. And again, back to that dove of peace. And I relate very much to Joe DiMaggio, have the good fortune for him to just come in for me as a guide. He has been doing that for about 5 or 6 years now. And just the neatest personality. He's just like someone you'd want to sit down and like have a cup of coffee with. Just so down to earth. And I love how he didn't let all his success with baseball go to his head. He was just still a really grounded guy that, you know, just had that big family and just never forgot his old friends. So that's my eclectic team, and just want to encourage people develop yours if that feels right for you. So Greg, anything to add to that?
No, well, yeah, I'd like to dovetail into the next slide because
Okay, perfect.
sometimes I like to invite a group like that as well, and Archangel Michael also is, and Mary Magdalene is a friend of mine too. So yes, let's talk about you know, because I did that slide about symptoms and you know what can happen. So what do you do? You know, when something is identified, you know, what's you diagnose yourself, or somebody helps diagnose you that you've got some sort of energy impairment and attachment or something. So you identify it, you identify the leak or the issue, and then you remove it through self work or work with a light worker. So, you know, Wendy talked a little bit about some things you can do in your starting in your house, and that's actually mentioned in the next one. You can do your own daily protection of yourself as well as your personal space. So I won't elaborate much more on the personal space situation. Wendy did a phenomenal job. Sage is something that you can use to go into all four corners of a room or all of the corners of your house to dry things out. It works very well. There's two other substances that you can burn. One is Palo Santo. It's a type of wood. And another is copal, which is the Native Americans have used. It's a sap, or it's a resin. All three of those are very powerful in removing negative beings and, you know, negative energies, low energies that need to be cleared. So what do you do about your own personal protection and clearing? Well, I'll share a link to, in the interest of time, I'll share a link to an article I wrote about Kriya yoga poses. I've shared before in some of our other broadcasts that these poses are, in particular, they're used to clear your energy and to maintain a perimeter and to keep you protected. So it's a combination of doing some light movement, you know, some yoga poses, and then do it in a meditative state so that you are looking for anything that might be around that doesn't belong, and you can remove it while you're actually doing these poses. I mean, you know, some of them are here's one. It's the field clearing, where you put your hands in a certain way and you just go like this. You move it up and down, and you're sitting in the lotus position. You just do that for 2 or 3 minutes, and as you're doing that, you're letting your mind go blank, and you start kind of sensing around you what's going on energetically. Is there anything in your field that needs to be cleared? And that's what you do. I do that as a part of a daily practice. So when you do that, you tend to have less energy issues. But you can also do it. That said, sometimes I'll have a dream, or I'll have something going on where I'll feel, wow, there's some weird energy going on. So I'll stop, and I'll find, if I can, find a place to go do a couple of the poses, just to keep my energy clear. To reiterate what Wendy said, you can ask for help from your trusted guides, or some of these major beings like Archangel Michael, and I use Raphael and Saint Germain and Mary Magdalene, and even Jesus. You can ask them to come help clear your field, or clear your energy body of anything that doesn't belong to you, that doesn't serve you. And then finally, setting your own kind of personal protection through daily meditation is a great thing. But, again, if you have time and you're feeling off a certain day, stop everything you're doing and lie down, or sit in a room where you can put your back up against the wall, or if you can assume the lotus position with no trouble, keep your spine straight, and just do some deep breathing, and then close your eyes, and then just feel around you. Is there anything around you that doesn't belong? And if there is, do that love cultivation in your heart, and imagine it getting bigger and bigger, and just starting pushing it outward and outward, to the point where you're removing anything that doesn't belong. So one final reminder I would say is, never invite anyone or anything into your own energetic space. So even though I invite, these beings like Archangel Michael and so forth, I don't ever ask them to come into my field and to come into my energy body and do anything. You never do that. So it's just one word of warning. And like I said, you don't let it happen in dreams either. Okay, let's take a break here for Q&A. Let's see what we got going on in the group right now. See if we got any. We don't have anything.
Okay.
No
Can
questions.
I add a couple other quick comments then, Gregg? Things you made me think of?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing you can use that's wonderfully protective and uplifting for the home and the yard and property is you can put salt around the whole perimeter of it. And again, just kind of, picture that energy rising up, and that being your sacred space. Or maybe you choose to put it like just by the door stops, just the front and back door, et cetera, or the garage door. That can definitely be a great way to use that substance, like the wood and like the sage, et cetera. And I keep a bowl of salt underneath my bed, kind of like up where my pillow is. And I just, every night as I go to sleep, it's like, let me just get rid of anything that doesn't serve me. And, you have the occasional bad dream. That's actually a good thing. It's your subconscious kind of clearing itself. But I then make sure I throw that salt away in the morning and just release it, let it go, up level my vibration and frequency. And then when I pour that new salt in, I ask for insights and wisdom and whatever your intent is, and then just put that salt back under the bed and know that's just really serving you. Also, this is very rare, but if you ever feel like Gregg was describing different ways of discerning energy around you, but if you do ever feel like you're absolutely having a psychic attack, like negative energy is getting too close to you, you're feeling sudden pain, or like something's attached, or just this, oh boy, this is not right. The best thing you can do is just literally declare your sovereignty, say shields up, and just put your arms up, or whatever you need to do. A lot of us remember Star Trek, or excuse me, yeah, Star Trek. And the
Like,
Enterprise would just go shields up, when they were going somewhere and they're like a little bit worried they're going into uncharted territory, or maybe it seemed like an attack might be starting. So just literally shields up, because you're a spark of the divine, and you just deserve to be sovereign and happy and healthy in your own energy. So you have the right and the ability to easily protect yourself that way, and then just raise your vibration. And also, Gregg was mentioning some of the ways to remove a different energy that doesn't serve you. But if you've got some kind of energy and it really feels negative to you, another strategy is there is something called the universal police. And you can absolutely just ask for the universal police, or you can ask for an angel or whomever your guide is to just escort XYZ away from you, because not every being is aware of free will, or honors free will, and occasionally we can have our free will violated, as Gregg discussed, particularly in that first slide. So that's just another strategy, so that you feel that you are safe and loved and protected at all times. So that's one more strategy: universal police.
excellent. Well, I think we've come to the end of our road today, as the slide shows.
Yes, yes. There might be, there we go. So there might be one more. So future topics, we would love to hear your suggestions. Please go to wakingupspiritually.com and look through what we have discussed before, and give us some suggestions. What's going on in your life? What do you need help with in the areas of energy, metaphysics, those spirituality, those sorts of topics? And we would just love to consider putting together a topic like that for you. And I'm thrilled we're now on some of the podcast apps, so you're able to find us there too, such as Apple iTunes, Buzzsprout, Google, Amazon Music. And you're able to subscribe. Subscribe does not mean dollars being spent. Subscribe is now changing to follow. So you can just follow, rate, and review us on the podcast apps. Would be so appreciated, because it just helps other like-minded people find us there. And then also you just get a little notification when there's a new one up twice a month on that second and fourth Sunday of the month. Or you can simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then also you get the notifications that way. So thank you so much for being with us today. It was just absolutely my pleasure. Join us again on April 11th will be our next date. And here are our websites. And from my website, you can request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment with me to review how I may be of service to you. So thank you, and turning it back over to Gregg.
All right, thank you all. Yes, go to our website, wakingupspiritually.com, to see past issues or past broadcasts. Go to my website, greggkirk.com, to schedule an appointment with me for a remote energy session. And we look forward to seeing you on April 11th. God bless everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.